Okay, so now that we've amended the project object model file here, we are ready to test our project locally. Now, if I come down here, I'm going to build our image locally, and then we'll create a container from the image. Once we create the container, we test it locally. If everything works fine, then we push it to the Azure container registry we created. Now, the bulk of the magic is going to be done by this particular plugin. The Spotify Docker file Maven plugin is going to do the magic for us. So all we are going to do is to say Maven clean package. Once we do this, Maven packages our application, creates a WAR file for us, and then the Spotify Docker file Maven plugin will then create an image for us. Now, remember, we have a Docker file here. Our image is going to be created from the Pyre Micro image, and all of there's a WAR file arg here, and the WAR file arg is defined down here like this, which will be the name of the final WAR file that is created, copied to the deployment directory in the Pyre Micro image. So the Spotify plugin is going to do a lot of magic for us. All we need to do is to simply run the application. Now, once we hit enter, this is going to take quite some time to run. If you don't have the images locally, it's going to go out and then fetch the Docker image, this particular image, from the Docker hub for you. So depending on the speed of your internet, this is going to take quite some time to complete. So let me hit enter. Mine should complete in a couple of minutes. Depending on your internet, it's going to take some time. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that the image will end up being created for you locally. Again, we need to set up the necessary bits. This part here, you need to get this information from the Azure container registry you created, and then the Docker name can be anything here. This is the name of the image that we created. It can be anything. We don't really it doesn't really matter. So this particular bit here you need to get from the Azure portal. Once you have that, you also need to amend the settings.xml file so that the Spotify Docker file Maven plugin can log into your registry for you. So as you can see here, the image is being pulled from the Docker hub. Again, depending on your internet speed, this could take quite some time. It should take a couple of minutes for me. So once it's done, we're going to create a container from the image, and then once we have the container, we can take it for a spin locally before we push everything to the cloud. Once we push to the Microsoft cloud, we're going to then expose that image as an Azure web app for containers. So first of all, let's try it locally. Let's wait for those to pull, and then we can take it for a spin locally. Okay, so building the image is done. I can come in here and say Docker image list, and then you can see my image. This is it. This is my image. So you can see this is how the repository is. So the Azure container URI, and then / the name of the image tagged latest. Then there's the image ID, and then it was created just 2 minutes ago. So I can run this image simply by saying docker run like this. I already have them, so I'll just use this. So I can just change this here to, we can say jumpstart Jakarta EE. So we are running the image we just created. So let me just hit enter, and then hopefully this should run. Everything should work out fine for us. And then we can take the application for a spin locally to see if all is well before we push it to the cloud. Okay, so you can see it was very fast, very fast. So you can see this is the context root, and then these are the various URIs we created, the various resources that we created in our use of our development of the application. Now let me go into the browser and then make a sample request to the list resource in the users class, the user resource class here. You can see this is the image. The image is running, so we can just simply go to localhost colon 8080 because we aliased, or when we were running the image, we simply told the container to bind the container's image, the container's 8080 port to our local image, our local port 8080, sorry. So that's what is running this one. We bound the container's 8080 port to our 8080 port, the host's 8080 port. So that's what we are accessing in here. So let me hit send. And then you can see it says error message, no valid string token found. This is coming from our filter, our security filter is what is running. So when we come down here, this is it. So JSON object, we created this here. If there is no header, we simply return that message. So that is what we are seeing. Our image is working, our image is running. This is the log message we are seeing here. So we have our image locally. Now let's stop the container and then push the image to the Microsoft Azure container registry. Okay, so let's kill the container. Let's just do Control-C. So now let's look at our containers, our images again. We have this image locally. We are going to push it to the Azure container registry. Now all we need to do, in fact, let me just come in here and inform you of this first. I created a simple HTML index.html file here, Jakarta EE Jamstart. There's nothing here yet. This is just an index.html file. I'll be showing you why we did that very soon. So now we're going to push. To push this, we can simply say deploy. To deploy there, so we can say Maven deploy like this, and then this should end up pushing the image to our Azure container registry for us. Now, depending on your internet speed again, this could take quite some time, but normally it should take just a couple of minutes to push to the Azure container registry for you. So as you can see here, this particular magic that we are seeing is being done again by this particular plugin here. Oops. This particular plugin is what is doing all of that magic for us. The Spotify Dockerfile Maven plugin is what is doing all of this. So it will push the image. You can see it is pushing and all of that. So it will push the image to the Azure container registry. Now, depending on your internet speed, again, this could take quite some time. So let's patiently wait for the push to complete. Okay, so the pushing has succeeded. As you can see here, it took a total of 19 minutes. Today my Wi-Fi is quite terrible, so it took a total of 19 minutes to push the image to our Azure container registry. So now the image we created locally is now on the Microsoft Cloud platform. So let's go into our Azure portal, take a look at the image we pushed, and then we create an Azure web app for containers, point that Azure web app for containers to the container we pushed, and then expose our application as a web app on the Azure container platform. So let's go and check it out in the Azure portal.